Hey everybody, what's happening? Coach Kev here, Coach Kev's True Crimes. Before we get things kicked off tonight, we had a tragedy here in my town on Monday. Two police officers were shot. One was killed, murdered. Officer Slug, and Officer Chuck Thomas was shot in the face. Chuck signed himself out of the hospital that night. And I hope he doesn't mind saying this, but he met a couple of guys at the bar afterwards. And that guy's got balls like two heads duct taped together. And that's about as big as a compliment as I can give. But I want to play this video for you, a little thing I made here before we get started tonight. Yeah, in honor of their sacrifice and a lot of the law enforcement sacrifice across the country.
Appeared and said, "You sure are doing a lot of fiddling around with this one." When the Lord was creating peace officers, he was into his sixth day of working overtime when an angel appeared and said, "You sure are doing a lot of fiddling around with this one." And the Lord said, "Have you read the specs on this order? A police officer has to be able to run 5 miles through alleys in the dark, scale walls, enter homes a health inspector wouldn't touch, and not wrinkle his uniform. He has to be able to sit in an undercover car all day, cover a homicide scene that night, canvass the neighborhood for witnesses, and testify in court the next day. And he has to be in tip-top physical condition at all times, running on black coffee and half-eaten meals. And he has to have 6 pair of hands." The angel shook her head slowly and said, "6 pair of hands? No way." "It's not the hands that are causing me the problem," said the Lord. "It's the 3 pair of eyes an officer has to have." "And that's on the standard model?" asked the angel. And the Lord nodded. "1 pair that sees through a bulge in a pocket before he asks, 'May I see what's in there, sir?' when he already knows, and he wishes he'd have taken that accounting job. Another pair here on the side of his head for his partner's safety. And another pair of eyes here in front that can look reassuringly at a bleeding victim and say, 'You'll be all right, ma'am,' when he knows it isn't so." The Lord said to the angel, touching his sleeve, "Why don't you rest and work on this tomorrow?" "I can't," said the Lord. "I already have a model that can talk a 250-pound drunk into a patrol car without incident and feed a family of 5 on a civil service paycheck." The angel circled the model of the police officer very slowly. "Can it think?" she asked. "You bet," said the Lord. "It can tell you elements of 100 crimes, recite Miranda warnings in its sleep, detain, investigate, search, and arrest a gang member on the street in less time than it takes 5 learned judges to debate the legality of the stop. And still it keeps its sense of humor. This officer has to have phenomenal personal control. He can deal with crime scenes painted in hell, coax a confession from a child abuser, confront a murder victim's family, and read in the paper the next day how law enforcement isn't sensitive to the rights of criminal suspects." Finally, the angel bent over and ran her finger across the cheek of the police officer. "There's a leak," she said. "I told you were trying to put too much in this model." "That's not a leak," said the Lord. "It's a tear." "What's the tear for?" asked the angel. "It's for bottled-up emotion, for fallen comrades, for commitment to that funny piece of cloth called the American flag, for justice." "You're a genius," said the angel. The Lord looked somberly at the angel and said, "I'm no genius. I didn't put the tear in his eye."
Yeah, guys. So made that up for my guys. And yeah, that's it. A gut punch to the city is putting it mildly. You know, when you see the people that everyone runs to when they're broken, you see those people broken. I mean, broken. They're broken. Uh, you know, first time I ever saw a priest cry Not a super religious type of person, but it's that kind of tragedy. It's hard to explain. Hopefully you never have to go through it. But I had to send that out first. Got the guy that did it. There's a lot more to come out. PTSD veteran. Without getting too in specifics, there's if it goes to court, there's multiple videos. So guy wasn't insane. I have a diagnosis of PTSD that I got in September 2019. Got marijuana, man. It's the way to go. Throw all the pills away to booze. But for the next few days, the booze is going to help guys get through. This can't be a permanent thing. Okay. Moving on here. A lot going on. I was talking with Mr. Frost and Meow and Alive. Got some folks in here already. I have to show this because I think when I set my thing for today, that the other day, whenever I said I was going to have a live and I put my thing up, I think I set it for AM. So Kid Check the Rhyme was in here at 8:03 saying, hey, everybody. So hopefully he comes back because of me, he was 12 hours early. CJ was talking to you last night. Dave's the pro. Dave's everywhere. I see him. Was it in a Rick Snay chat? I didn't get that live, but it was afterwards somewhere. Frank and Marv, somewhere. Okay. A lot of happenings in Delphi. Again, Delphi is the case that kind of brought me into everything here. But there's a lot of people that are really doing good work there. Court proceedings. I can't help you with stuff like that, but there's a lot of people doing a lot of good explaining. And just go to YouTube and look it up, find creators that you like, but something's going. There's a lot of people that don't think Alan did it. I'm in the camp right now where I think that he did it with help, and I think that's what all the legal stuff is about and the charge and everything like that. But I don't know. I'm not saying that he's there. He's involved. He's on the bridge. The witness that saw him on the bridge, he saw on the bridge. Now, was he still the guy there a few minutes later? More than likely. I mean, I got to think so. But it's interesting. Dave, that number that I saw of the death toll is I mean, and they don't even know. Kathy, how are you? Kathy, big advocate for the Flora girls also. Yeah, I can see that too. With the Delphi case, man, I've had the killer convicted in my head 4 or 5 different people already, and it's just like it's so odd. The Delphi and Flora, okay, Delphi, you got a gag order, nobody talk, no one say anything. Florida, there's no kind of nothing like that as far as I'm aware. I've actually tried to find it. I didn't find anything like that. Okay, and this dash cam comes out 6 years later. Now, in a live I was in last night with, I call him Mr. Frost because that's what we were messaging back and forth. So I like it. Mr. Frost and Meow. I shared an article about a family in Michigan killed in a fire, 2 young boys, the mom suing. They're suing particular firemen and the fire department. And what's odd about that is like the chief wanted to fire him that day. They supposedly didn't search a floor. What they said was there was a room that was attached to that floor the day that it was there. But I don't know exactly what happened, but those kind of actions to fire those guys, what could you have done? That had to be something really bad. We all make mistakes at fires. And if people die, you have to live with that. If you make a mistake in an office or you work in a post office, put the wrong postage on, the letter comes back. If you make a mistake at a fire, people die. I don't want to get too, whackerish with you, but it's like the Backdraft movie. It's like he says, when we have a bad day at work, someone dies. Try to get everybody's comments up as I can. Dave, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of good people from around the world, this country, right, locally where I'm at. And in the video, yeah, you're right, Dave. I'm too over a lot of stuff now, including seeing up close. Stephanie, hi. The video I showed you, that's actually my town. That was the emergency room in Keysport Hospital where I'm a fireman. My brother, who worked in McKeesport, now works for the Attorney General, he was very good friends with Slug, and he was there. So I went down there to support him. And as a representative with my union, all of our guys were down there. An outpouring of support is just tremendous. There's a GoFundraiser for the slain officer. The last I saw was over 100, I think 115,000. And then Chuck on the mend. There was a vigil last night, and I said before, Chuck checked himself out of the hospital and went and drank some beers with his comrades who were all mourning. Firemen were there, paramedics. It was a scene. But anyways, Chuck showed up last night at the vigil and kind of brought the house down. So that was I wasn't able to make that vigil. I have obviously some things I'll be doing this weekend and next week for laying to rest and whatnot. Bucket brigades. I'm sure a lot of you, Dave, Kathy, I'm sure you saw this dash cam already. And a couple things I want to talk about. That was like my thing for Delphi. I think I'm going to end up doing 2 videos for this dash cam, possibly one tomorrow. We'll see how it goes tonight. I don't like to go too long and ramble too long because when I was a basketball coach, and that's where Coach Ketzker was, a high school basketball coach for 3 years, head coach and youth coach for 15 years before that. Coached baseball too, and played basketball and football in high school, baseball up until high school, but baseball I really enjoy. Anyways, enough about me, right? As we move into this and we look into this, I'm going to explain things very, like layman terms for you, so you would be able to understand. I'm no genius, I'm no scientist of fire or anything like that. If we were talking about a crime that occurred in a post office, there could be a male person that could be having a show like this. But seeing that it's fire, I really, I could see things immediately when I saw this video, and that's when I posted that. Then I came back and watched it and took meticulous notes. Hey, Mr. Frost is in. No shit. Cool. I won a state championship in 1994 as a sophomore. I lettered that year. Played with Brandon Short. Brandon Short played at Penn State, played with the Giants. His daughter was unfortunately murdered here not too long ago on the streets. They got the guy that did it, but it's just, it's a great city with great people, but it's a lot of tragedy. Oh, Meow's here. Okay, we have a lot of people here. I'm going to attempt here at one point to share my screen and stealing some of Meow's content, of course, from her page with the video. There's a couple of things I'd like to show you, so hopefully I'm able to do that. But let's talk first here. And like I said, I took quite a few notes about everything. A couple of the things, whenever I put this up and I said, hey, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to talk about, a couple of the things that I noticed immediately, okay, on the interior, when Deputy Yoder, you could hear his microphone on the interior. If there were smoke alarms in that house, you would 1,000% hear them. Sometimes you can't hear them outside of the house. The revving of the engine when the truck is in pump, the flowing of water, which hopefully once I get you to hear it, you'll always be able to hear it. You'll be able to tell. As an operator, as a driver, and I usually pump water, I'm one of the older guys now, I can tell by the revving of the engine. I don't even got to be by the truck. And I'm not unique to that. Any guys or women that have done this for a while can tell by that. So there are certain things I could tell. I could tell when the water goes in. If I really want to show you part of this video when they punch this window out, and within 2 seconds, the fire basically flashes in the front room. So that led me to a theory after seeing this of what happened and why everyone got the scars that they got. Remember, steam burns are a lot worse than the direct flame burns because steam burns hit your body and they spread across your skin. Real quick sidebar on steam burns. There's a great documentary right now on Netflix. God, we should have wrote the name down. I'm a lunkhead. I didn't. But it's about there was an earthquake or a volcanic eruption, not an earthquake, in this island, and it was somewhere near the Australia area or somewhere out that way. And these people were on it. And there was this guy who was a doctor on the boat. They were triaging, pulling these people off island. And he said, what could have burnt these people so bad? Through their clothes. But their clothes weren't burnt. And it was steam. It was steam. Steam is very bad. Again, smoke alarms, you would have heard them. I've seen smoke alarms melted and going off. We had to put them like in the back of the truck because they were so annoying, but they continued to go off. Melted to the point where we couldn't get the battery out, and they continued to go off. But they're very loud. You'll hear them. You can hear the crackle of the fire sometimes. If you're not sure which way to go, you get to the top of the steps and everything's black to the floor, and you watch TV and guys are running around and it's all lit up and they got axes and shit. That ain't like that. It's very rarely like that. The first floor might be like that. If the fire is on the second floor, that's possible. And initially in this, that's what happens. Okay. Galen's inside. Both cops are inside. They're inside talking on the first floor. The fire has not yet taken off yet. And when he comes back, it's clearly a different situation. And doors are left open, and then, things start to happen in that regard there. What I can't see from this video is exactly the point of origin, because the way, obviously, that's going to be toward the back of the house. The multiple points of origin, different things we talked about. Could there have been different trailers? They would dump, some kind of fluid, and they would light it and they would trail. Sometimes that would go out, or they would purposely leave breaks in that trail. So that fire would light to a certain point. Then after a couple feet, we give them a couple minutes, it would jump to the next pile or puddle that they had. So maybe that's possible. Could that be? Yeah. We wouldn't hear an explosion with that necessarily either. You might hear, and I'm, let's see here. Yeah, the dash cam, everybody, Meow was all over that. There's a lot of content was put out. Yeah, so like I said, initially, hey, kid, we're sorry you were 12 hours early because I put the time wrong. We saw your comment. I put it up for you. My apologies. I thought it was 8 p.m. I put, but okay. You're here now, so great to see you. So those initial thoughts were right away. There's a lot of people walking around, just walking around, and that's, we were talking a little bit about it last night. Listen, people have walked over hose lines. Just, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going to my house. They are not involved in anything. But early on in that camera, everybody in every car and every vehicle and every person needs to be talked to and accounted for. We need to know who their names, who they were, what you were doing there. Doesn't mean they were suspects, but they could give us information about maybe what happened in the fire, what caused the fire. Did you hear any noise? Did you hear anything popping? What did you hear? What did it sound like? Popping could be electric. Explosions. You hear no explosions in the video. Even when that fire flashes over, okay, you hear no explosions in the video. So it doesn't seem to me like it could be a vapor, or no, I shouldn't say vapor. That's a bad word. Gas. Could it be a liquid thing? Listen, it could be the air. As I'm going to show you or watch the video, hopefully I get it to work. It could be the air that they introduced. That simple. You got a fire going that good. There was reports of a low oxygen level. And when you initially see, when they go in initially, you don't see fire, you just see smoke. That is a sign of a fire that is kind of starved of oxygen. And when the smoke starts pushing out under pressure, that's firemen, that's when your ass starts to pucker, because somewhere that fire is burning good and it's pushing under pressure. There's so much energy in that fire, it's trying to expand, and it's just pushing smoke everywhere. And if you give it oxygen or you open a window, that fire will come to you, especially in an oxygen-deprived environment. If the roof of the house is burned off and you blow out the front window, I don't know if not a lot's going to happen, because that fire has all the air literally in the world above it. It's going to go to it, okay? I hope to be able to show you that, and I can tell you where it is on the video and stuff like that too. So these are things. There was I watched the video and actually found some actual documents on it. There was, before this fire happened, there was some back and forth about codes, building codes and things like that. We don't want to tell people what to do, but we wanted to make things safe. And I don't even believe the fact that there weren't working smoke detectors or any smoke detectors or whatever, I don't think that was even illegal at the time for what code they were talking about. And that sounds nuts. Okay, we used to use the BOCA code. Now we have the International Building Code here. And there's very strict things that you have to follow. And it's not because we're being tyrannical idiots or the city's being trying to make money. We just want to make things safe. Yeah, I have not been able to confirm for sure that. Yeah, well, we talked about that. Let me go back to this here. We'll talk about venting underneath people. And if you vent underneath firemen, they're going to come outside and punch you in the head. Yeah, that's so. Now, are you meaning before the fire happened? Before the fire happened, as maybe they were using maybe a different way to heat? We see that a lot around here. Or once the fire happens, if you can do it, you want to cut the electricity. If you can get the electrical, okay. So when you have a fire, let's say the deputy chief, in our situation, will call out whatever help we need. All the off-duty guys, our second alarm, whatever we need, and they automatically notify utilities. We say they automatically do that. Gas, electric, water, they all show up. And we want to get gas and electric shut off immediately. Sometimes water too, but sometimes water isn't a big deal. So there's been instances where we've waited at a fire, like bad fires, for maybe 25 minutes, half hour for electric or gas to show up just because they couldn't get there. There's been times where they've been there. We had a gas leak about a month ago that as we were on the way to the leak, we passed the gas company guy. He's like, "What do you got?" And I said, "We're heading down here. Just come with us. We'll see." And it was a major gas leak. So cutting the electric early on is really good. The electric could have burned itself out if it was ended up being some kind of an arson fire where they attacked the electrical system of the house, meaning they put something in an electrical box or a junction box, or they did something knowing it would cause an electrical fire. That could have forced it all to go out too. No light from appliances. No. It's absolutely possible. It's possible that the fire itself burnt through the electric, like someone lit the fire and it burnt through something electrical, which caused things to go out. And I don't know if the power went out in the whole house. It could have just taken a circuit out. It could have burned out things in the kitchen, because obviously that was one of the points of origin at this point we're talking about. I'm trying to keep up with everybody here. The worst case scenario is I'll do my talking here and come back and answer. You guys please keep talking together. I need a Mrs. Steve and a Mrs. Brooke. My girlfriend might have to help. Okay. Unchecked fire doubles in size every minute, roughly. So if you have a waste paper basket in ideal conditions, not in the middle of a field or anything like that, so indoors, waste paper basket, you light it on fire. Every minute that waste paper basket's going to double in size in fire, roughly. That's a good rule of thumb. That's not with wind. That's just not anyone putting water or anything on it to put it out. Okay. We were talking a little bit last night. I've heard other people talk. Do you hear the girls? Do you not hear the girls? I go back and forth with that audio because I listen to it. And as from being a basketball coach, breaking film and stuff like that, I would watch it, without sound, with sound, things like that. So I watched it with sound, watched it without sound. So basically, I went into the other room and I just listened to the audio to see what I can hear. There was a couple of things that were interesting to me to hear. As far as hearing the girls, I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to go back and do some more research on that. As far as when did they die? Was it from the smoke? God, hopefully it was from the smoke, because, and this is an important thing for everybody, because what people don't understand is this is why you need smoke detectors. You think you're going to smell smoke and wake up. It's opposite of that. You never wake up. You just go further to sleep until you eventually die. So that's why smoke detectors are so important. People will think, oh, I'll smell the smoke and wake up. I used to think that. That's not true. You won't ever wake up. It'll just put you further to sleep. Well, fire, yeah. Well, if your bed's on fire, yeah, you're going to wake up, but that usually isn't what happened. In house fires, and I want to quote a percentage with great faith here, but it's in the neighborhood of 65 to 70% of people that die in house fires never get burnt by flames. The smoke is what kills them, So as far as we go, and we will see, yeah, we were talking too, and I have the reports of, the thermal burn and things like that, and that could be explained away from when the fire was attacked, what happened. They hit that front room once they finally got everything going. They hit that front room, and you see it darken down right away. I hope you'll be able to show you that in the video. And all that smoke and all that heat goes up. And I believe the police officers were on that landing when that happened. I believe that's what happened. And at one point, Yoder's mic goes out. And I don't believe that's any, this is Flora and Delphi. So maybe I'm an idiot. But I don't believe there's any malfeasance there where they blocked the mic out. I think what happened was that fire was so hot, it flashed over. They hit it from the door, then they began to move in. There was so much steam in there, it just froze that microphone up for a second. And then you hear it release. The other things that you look for in that video is you could tell exactly when they started flowing water into that room, everything gets black. Okay. We have that here. And I want to do a more detailed one where I can go, step by step with these times that I have on it. But you could see exactly that. You could see exactly, and I think you could hear the one guy say to the other, where they at? Where they at? You could tell exactly. They put the nozzle down and they begin searching. Okay. Once they begin searching, after about 30 seconds, you see the fire in the back begin to build back up. That's a normal thing with fire. That does not mean an accelerant. If that would have flashed back up, then, at that point, I'm like, yeah, maybe they poured something everywhere. Now, there was accelerant used, but I don't think it was like it wasn't like that fire wouldn't have went out as fast as it did. So it was obviously an arson fire, but I'm really struggling with what they would have used. The flame color didn't tell me anything. It looked like regular combustible material, Class A material burning there. So let's catch up on some of these here. Yeah, so meow, carbon monoxide, and it's so dangerous. We put smoke detectors up for people all the time because we're like a troubled, at-risk community. We have a ton of fires, and we're not allowed, we don't have some carbon monoxide detectors, but you should have one on every floor minimum, and you should really have one in every room you sleep in. Anything that burns natural gas puts off carbon monoxide. You can't smell carbon monoxide. You can't smell natural gas in its natural state either. They add a chemical to it, and that's what you smell, like the rotten egg chemical. And in this town, we don't have a lot of meth labs, right? We're more of an inner city. But one of the things they teach you at training, one of the meth lab things, and I want to freak anyone out, is like the rotten egg smell. Could be a meth lab. So we don't, in McKeesport, we don't really knock on, wood. There's not a lot of meth labs, but we were talking too along the siding. So what you see, if you look at that, we call side one of the building, the front of the house, it would be the second division, the second floor, the window to your right. There's a lot of alligatoring and charring in there. And either that is from the inside or the outside. That could be from the outside, because when those flames came out, when they took those windows and those flames came right to the window, right where you came, it started lapping up. It's possible that came from there. I'd really have to see pictures on the inside, but there was heavy damage, obviously a heavy damage there. I saw some pictures. I've actually joined a couple, I don't know if anyone's in them. I've joined a couple Flora groups, and there was a lot of talk about, hey, I have pictures and videos and stuff. And I says, hey, could you send them to me? I commented on the thread. I didn't send them a message that I thought was like weird or creepy or anything. So hopefully people have stuff. Maybe the police haven't seen. Is that possible? Look, we're talking about Flora and Delphi. Anything's possible, right? So maybe something could get sent to me or something, and I could be like, holy shit, these guys definitely didn't see this. And, maybe we can move something along, and a couple of the groups that I talk in with friends on Reddit, I sent a couple of videos where I think it was 2 years in, where they had very solid persons of interest. They said persons of interest is 2 years in. It's 4 years later. So what exactly? Yeah, I don't know. Well, in this area here, people do some weird things. So what they would do, we used to call it pulling the meter. So they would go up and they still do that now at fires. They'll go up and they'll physically pull the meter out. So at that point, nothing has anything in the house. Now, there's places I've been in where meters have been pulled, okay? And you go into the house and there's electrical appliances working. They've run an extension cord from a neighbor, from a garage or something like that. I've even seen people, they run it jacked. I don't think you could do it anymore. Early in my career, they climbed up the pole and actually ran like one of those jacks to the power line and ran it to their house and were powering their house for free until, it caught on fire. It didn't catch on fire, but it brought us up there because there was some weird stuff. But I think that's the best thing for me to do tomorrow. I'm going to show you a couple of things in the video, but there's really a lot of things here, and I can maybe hack it up and go step by step. But I just want to give you a brief thing, not a brief thing. I'm never brief. Let's be honest. A nice, cover everything here tonight, and then we maybe get granular on it tomorrow. Cameras in the area. I know it's 2016, but is there cameras in the area? Someone had to have cameras. Home, ring doorbell. This tragedy that we had Monday was caught on multiple cameras. One of them was a ring doorbell, which it caught everything. Let's just say that it caught everything, except for the shooter who ran away before before he was apprehended. Everything else was caught on that. And then there's, other video too, but I know it was, almost 6 years ago in a couple months, but was there the car, something was coming or leaving the area, something seen. I know it's more likely now that there was cameras than there was then, but something, have we exhausted all that? Have we talked to everybody in that area? Okay. Yeah, and as we get into the what happened when so Dissinger's there first. His car appears to be parked across the street. I'm assuming somebody's going to help me out with this. The car on the right in front of the house that Deputy Yoder pulls up behind, I'm assuming is someone's personal car from that area. I see a police car on the other side, so I don't know if his dash cam would be any good or not, and if that's the reason it wasn't released. I can't be sure. But if he was the second one there, yeah, we talked about that on the HVAC outside of the house, and if I was on the live or one of our chats. But like I said to me out, and I don't know, but it almost looked like that stuff was piled up there for a reason. It wasn't just thrown out. If you're cleaning out a room to help the fire marshal and just trying to get debris away, you might just throw it out a window. But that stuff looked to be almost not cataloged, but maybe we're going to take this with us and look. Yeah, okay, so he is across the street. Yeah, so if his dash cam is just a front-facing dash cam, then that's not going to help us with anything with the fire. I would obviously have to look at it. Is there people walking by? Is there anything suspicious going on? Yeah, I would just think, secondhand maybe. I mean, you have to look at everything, but more than likely, no. It's not going to give us any clues, I don't think, on the growth or how the fire moved. Originally, what I thought, but just by seeing where the smoke pattern and the flames went, it's kind of what I expected, and that's no big feat for me to come up with that. I knew fire started in the rear of the house. I knew that door was open in the rear. I knew the doors were being opened in the front, windows were being opened in the front. So that fire is going to pull right to where that air is at. It's going to do it every time. That's just how fire works. You almost have to look at it like a living, breathing thing. It wants to eat. It's hungry. Where's it going to go? It's going to go to where the food is. If you get up from your chair from watching, the Super Bowl and you have to go to the bathroom, you're going to go right to the bathroom. You're not going to go to the kitchen. You're not going to, I'm going to go out to the car first. No, you're going to go right there. It's almost like an instinctual thing. And if fire does the same thing, it moves right into it. So, again, it has to be methodical, the way that you do things, breaking windows and any kind of air introduction. And remember that we use fans, PPV, positive pressure ventilation fans, in concert with hose teams inside. We talked about yesterday on Mr. Frost Live about vertical ventilation, going up on the roof, cutting a hole above. Most places around here anyway don't do that because it's dangerous. You can if you have to, but usually you try to use horizontal ventilation. If you get there quick enough, like my department, we're always there fast just because we're in the station. Doesn't mean we're any better than anyone else, but we're in the station, so we could always get there quicker. We're very busy departments. We have a lot of practice at things. And we knock on wood again. We'll be doing it Saturday because I work. If I say that, sorry guys, ahead of time. But we do horizontal ventilation, but we have that hose in there pretty fast. There's no delay in this roughly, and you can see when the fire truck gets there because you could see the reflection in the window, and it's a certain kind of light. Maybe I've done this too long. I could tell that that's a fire light, the red. It's not an ambulance, the red and white. It's not a police, white and blue. It's the red. So I could see when they were there. I could even hear the maxi set on the truck. And when you go to put the truck in pump, when you get on the scene, and in that situation, I don't believe it was a ladder truck. I believe it was a pumper that came up first. A couple things you want to keep in mind: vehicle placement. You want to leave place for your ladder or for your stick or for your aerial to go, and you don't want to block them out if you need to use that. Your main thing, if you get there first and you're in the pump, you put the truck in pump, you put the PTO basically in gear. It's roughly, if everything works buglessly and there's no electronic glitches, it's about a 30-second process from the time that you get on the scene and you put your maxi brake on and you set your brake to the time that you should be able to have that pump ready to have water put in a hose line. Maybe you got to pull that hose line off and advance it and help the guy, because you can't charge that line in the truck because it's pre-connected and it's all folded up however departments carry it. You do that, you have a mess. Guys have done that over the years accidentally. It happens, and you have to go to another line. It takes them, from my count, roughly 5 minutes from the time they get there to the time they begin flowing water through the door. There's a couple instances, things that I see. You see the guy give the thumbs up, hey, I'm ready for water. It didn't appear that he was up there freaking out. Like that fire was coming licking on him. And if he was ready for water and he wasn't getting water, he'd have been on his pump guy, like, yo, man, what the fuck? What's going on? Hey, give me the water. But he was just like, he turned around, and it seemed like as soon as he turned around, he'd had his water. You could see the hose on the porch. If you look really close, it's a dark colored hose. And, they hit it and they move in, and you could actually see through the window with their flashlights how they're moving in through the, and you could tell by the way that the fire is going out. As it gets black, boom, they're hitting there. You could see that they stop for probably maybe 2 minutes or a minute 30 seconds in search, and to find the police. I'm assuming the police officers or the girls, there's a search that goes on, and there's only 3 firemen in there at this time. And it starts picking up again. There's the guy that walks, you see him walking back and forth in front of the video a few times. I don't know what he could be a safety officer. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Safety officer walks around the scene and he just does a 360 around the house, make sure nothing drastically is going on that people don't know about, like a power line or hey, actually the roof's collapsing. That's possible. We talked last night about there was a firefighter, David Erskine, that was there. Yeah. And he handed a guy something. I went back and watched it. I think he's handing him what's called an accountability tag. So different fire departments do it different. You have like a key ring, and it'll have a tag on. It'll have your name on it and with your department and what truck you came on or whatever that is. And usually there's a board at the incident command post, and you go and you clip your crew's accountability tag there. So if I was a Flora fireman, I would only have my own tag. I would clip it there. If I was a fireman coming from Delphi coming in to assist Flora, I might have 3 or 4 tags on a clip. And if I'm the boss, I says, hey, I got my crew here, and I clip that on. I'm responsible for those 3 or 4 guys. That guy running that board is responsible for me, and then so on and so forth, right? Money rolls uphill and shit rolls downhill, right? Firefighting's like the mafia in that regard. That stuff doesn't fall off trucks for us, or if it does, it's a lot of stuff to clean up and nothing that anybody wants. It ain't like a truckload of Turner's teas in a cart and could fall off a truck and not spill. We've never seen that. I've seen trucks, tons of recycling and metal, but not that. Okay. A lot of people, even my girlfriend was here today with her daughter, and we watched when Deputy Yoder runs into the fire station, clearly panicked, just vomiting. A couple of those breaths that you take, the chemicals that burn nowadays in the furniture and the carpets, plus it's heated. I mean, it's tough. I mean, you don't want to do that. And that's what happens to people right before they pass out. So he got out of there basically right before he passed out, ran into the department, and you can't see what's going on in the department, but you hear his video. So he goes sprinting in there, and he talks to a guy. I'm pretty sure it's a guy. And he's like, "Hey, man, there's people in that house." The guy's like, "Yeah, yeah, all right, yeah. I know, inaudible. I want to go back and listen and try to hear what he said." I'm assuming he was waiting for a crew of guys to show up. Maybe their department regulation is you have to have 2 guys in his truck for your safety. Look, I get it if that's what the case, if that's what they say. Maybe he wasn't a driver. Maybe he didn't know how to drive a truck. Maybe he was just a guy that went in and he needed a driver to get there. So Yoder grabs a pack and goes. The initial narrative that I thought was that Yoder took a pack off a fire truck that was already on the scene. So Yoder returns to the scene for the second time. Dissinger's there. I don't know what happens when they're gone. They get back, and the fire is, the smoke is significantly worse. It's black and it's puffing out of the top of the door. So that tells me that smoke is already into the second floor. Remember, smoke goes up. It's an older house. I'm going to guess it's a balloon frame construction. The floors don't go to the ceiling. So my theory is that smoke got upstairs really quick, really early on into this incident. And, probably filled that entire upstairs with that black smoke. As we move forward, and they're in there, they're doing their thing the second time with packs on, you hear what sounds like a car alarm, and that's called a pass device. Okay, firemen carry that safety device, and his is integrated obviously into his pack. I think that's the new law. It's probably been for a few years. You used to be able to clip them on your coat. Here's how that works. When you turn your air bottle on, you hear this ding or something like that. Different manufacturers make different noises. That turns that on. That is an alarm that you can set if you get stuck or you get disoriented. If you don't move for like 15 to 30 seconds, it'll start beeping and then it'll go into an alarm. So if you say you're a fireman and you fall down and you get hit in the head and you get knocked out, you fall on the floor, within 20 seconds, that thing's going nuts, letting everybody know somebody's down, okay? And one of the videos, if you ever go back and watch any of the 9/11 videos, and, you're hearing, planes crashing, the towers falling, you're hearing these alarms. Oh, those are the car alarms under. No, those aren't the car alarms. Those car alarms are smashed. These pass devices, they found some of them. Those were pass devices. Those were pass devices from, over 300 guys who, they had the greatest save in the history of it. Unless the Noah thing was real. I don't know. I'm not a religious guy, but who saved more people than the New York City Fire Department on 9/11? A tremendous loss of life. New York City, tremendous loss of life to the department. But how many people they got out of there, huh? That was badass by those guys. That's why they're the best. And a lot of people want to be them, but nobody else is. Okay. At points in this video now, that would be around. So roughly, I think I'll give you the exact time. I'm going to do another one, I think, tomorrow. Okay. I think I'm going to do another one tomorrow and get more exact, because I could see Yoder in the building on the steps with his flashlight in that first window. So when they're getting ready to go and they don't have the hand line ready yet, they punch a front window out within about 3 seconds. There's fire in the back rooms. There's no fire in the front room. Within 3 seconds, I see the beginning of a fire on the steps. And within about 7 or 8 seconds, the entire steps in that platform, which I assume is like a landing, has flashed over. That's how fast that happens. That's how starved that fire was, okay? And when this guy punches that window out, I don't know if he thought that the hose was ready, because if you're going to punch that window out, you're bringing the fire to you. You got to have that hose ready. Boom, now I'm going to knock this down. You can't just punch that out. It almost burned. It probably might have burned those guys. You see those flames coming out. It's licking up on their helmets. They have their face pieces on in their SCBAs, but that's because of that. You could hear that glass break, and within 2 or 3 seconds, it comes out. And that could have been the explosion that he thought he felt. When that happens and someone opens up a window or turns a fan on prematurely, we used to have a guy that did that. I'm sure my buddy Garrett isn't watching, but he could tell you how quickly conditions can change when there's a solid path of air, positively charged path of air blowing past that fire into where you're at. And it could have seemed like he could have been disoriented. He could have been disoriented from the smoke. His adrenaline was rushed. He was puking in the house. He was puking coming back. I wasn't sure exactly how I felt with him. I saw people have videos now. Is he a villain? Is he this or that? Man, I don't know. Based on what I saw from this video, the dude has pretty big cojones for what he did. And maybe he felt like he had to do that. I don't know. Was Yoder a member of that fire department? Or was he a member of another one? Did he maybe not think that fire department, hey, you know what? These girls' best chance is me because I know these guys and it is what it is. I don't know. I don't want to knock anyone or any of that. But when a fire chief resigns, his dad's the investigator and he resigns, that's bullshit, okay? I don't need to be a fire science major that's bullshit. What are you covering up? And now 6 years later, you're releasing this. So somebody's doing is working. I'm not saying it's me and my 100 followers. If it is, great. But just keep talking about this because something's happening in the background here. And you're going to be 2 years into the investigation and have very good persons of interest. And then it's just like, oh, no one talks about it. There's no gag order here. You can talk about this. You can say whatever you want. No one's been charged. There's nothing. So we know it was an arson. It's all we know. We know the fire investigator either lied or was really bad at his job. And I'm not trying to be mean, but those are the only 2 options. He either sucked as a fire investigator or he lied. All due respect. Okay. That's just a fact of the matter. You see guys outside, people walking around, and it's hard to get on anyone because you don't know. They might be an older guy, and their job might be like throw ladders outside. I don't know. You have an incident commander, like I said, that is probably not allowed to do anything by the letter of the law. He's supposed to look out for everyone else. Okay. So another fire department. So again, maybe what they want to know what fire department. I'm starting to learn about the local fire departments out there. It's really interesting because, all these different departments we have this, we show you this. They have Facebook pages and, hey, we had so many runs last month and these were our response times. And you get to certain ones, especially in Carroll County, and it's like, what stats? What fire? What run? What are you talking about? Like, you know what? The 50s are over. Hopefully they have good leadership in there now. But it's like, the war's over, guys. Get new parts for your head. I don't know. I don't want to knock anybody, but it's like, is Boss Hogg running things still with Roscoe? Like, what are we doing here? This is gonna break, guys. I'm telling you. I'm a big believer in the universe and putting good vibes out there. There's so many of us are putting so many good vibes out here. We're not making fun of each other. We're this guy. No, I got the scoop. Who cares who gets the scoop? If everything I say is wrong and tomorrow they arrest somebody, I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. I have no problem with it. Whoops. Hold on, man. I'm putting you up here. You know what? Probably not. No, probably not. Here's the reason why. Yeah, that kind of smoke inhalation, CJ. Yeah. There's other kinds, and we have it in our contract that we're allowed to smoke cannabis. Our mayor in our city really get it. You know what I mean? They're cool with. They understand the PTSD, and we have a plan in our town, and it very progressively thinking. throw them pills away and then limit that booze intake. Listen to me, like I'm C. Everett Koop. I don't know how many of you are old enough to remember him. Yeah, well, we talked, I'm sure this is something me and you talked about. We talked about everything else, hydrogen cyanide, all the different things that are in different combustible materials now, not even combustible materials, but like our couch or pillows. So is that possible? Yeah. Could it have been an accelerant that he inhaled? Yeah, absolutely. I would think that if he would inhaled an accelerant, and they said like on his uniform and stuff, they would have to be able to test that accelerant and find out exactly what it was, and then be able to find out what the cause of the fire was, if it was accelerant was used, and be able to match that up and say, okay, this is where he got it, because he was in this area and there was a pour here, or there was a trailer here, or maybe he somehow got on the accelerant before it caught on fire. Possible. It's very hard to explain, though. Like I said, cosmetics, and a lot of people don't notice. I don't know if you noticed, Dave. Cosmetics, guy told me this actually talking about the weed plant. We toured the weed plant. Well, marijuana has higher standard than the food you consume does. So it has to be so much more clean, and it's so much more regulated than our food. It's not even funny. This is pot. I'm talking about medical. But he told me that the most regulated plants that he builds plants. He's like a foreman. He got his weed card. He had like a plastic hip. He fell off I don't even know what. Little guy from Louisiana, super cool guy. Was asking him some Creole questions that I had. I asked him about the guy that New Orleans was going to kill people if they didn't play jazz music, and he knew about him, not personally, but anyways, he said that the cosmetic perfume factories are like the most volatile things in the world. You wouldn't even believe it. I said, really? He says, oh my God. He's like, you don't have any perfume factories in McKeesport? I said, no, we probably haven't had any in a long time. He's like, run a while. If you get that, run away. Yeah, Meow, he was on a ventilator. Yes, for a while. So the thermal burns, he had burns to his face. What was it, 6 weeks later or whatever it was? He's in that interview, and I could see looks to me like a thermal burn to his face. Kids' toys or something, anything stuffed nowadays, because what they stuff it with, those beanbag chairs. I've seen 4 or 5 times in my career a cell phone being charged and left on a beanbag chair cause a fire. I don't know if it can't be a coincidence, And if you have them plug-in things, if I ever mentioned them Glade plug-in things, don't use those. Those are bad. There's a 1/10 of 1 cent thermometer in there that's governing that from burning your house down. So get some spray, or I don't know, whatever it is you want to do. Okay. But please stay away from those. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to do this again tomorrow. I'll get some help maybe. And I don't even need help. I'm not that stupid. I can figure this out, but I'm just going over the list of things, but I'll definitely be able to show you a couple of things here that I definitely want you guys to see. And again, we talk about the steam burns I have in my notes. I believe that the mic was steamed away. That's around a 12-minute mark. And I have where they stop flowing the water at. But what I'm going to attempt to do right now is I'm going to attempt to go here. So what I did was I watched someone else's video, and I started writing times down. And I'm like, wait a minute, the times aren't matching up. Well, their video wasn't just a dash cam video. They had like some new stuff on first. So there's like 4 or 6 minutes of other stuff, 6 minutes and 9 seconds actually, as I have it written down, of other stuff in here. So I went to my friend Meow's page, YouTube page, who I'm sure you all probably follow. If you don't, go follow her. Follow me if you don't already. Please like it if you do too. The Axeman wanted to hear jazz. That's what he said. There's some wild shit I read on Reddit about that. I don't know if they're true or not. Theories. It's an interesting thing, but it worked, huh? Everyone played jazz, and then the guy never came back. So did he move away? What was it? I don't know. But yeah. So Meow, I'm going to use your thing here with the sound turned down. Already have it. And then I just want to show this, really just this one thing here where this really starts to get out of control. and come back tomorrow. I think. I don't know if anyone else has things going on. I'll let you know for a time. I don't want to step on anyone's toes, but there's this much to digest in this whatever it is, 14-minute video. But yeah, where are we at here? And the other thing I noticed too, the fire seems to be centered. What does that mean? The fire seems to be centered. You don't have fire blowing out that side window. Like the fire is all in like the center of the house, like the walking path, where a normal person would walk in the house, they'd walk in the middle, and I'm not saying that's the case, and I haven't seen enough pictures from the inside, but it doesn't seem to be just blowing out of that window where the dash cam is. It seems to be in the middle of the house more, in the path where you would follow to go up to the steps. Okay. So yeah, we got the thumbs up for water. So that would be roughly, okay, take away 6 minutes. We're roughly at the 9:15 mark. I'm going to do my best to share screen here. What does it say? Stop sharing. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Uh-oh, that's not the one I wanted. Well, yeah, not the one I wanted. I thought I opened up. Sorry about that. I thought I opened up the other one that had the YouTube on it, but I guess I did not. But anyways, I'm going to do this tomorrow, but I'm going to tell you pretty close to where it is here. So you could go look too, and I'll have all this tomorrow dissected up a little bit. Probably won't be as long. I'll be able to just go right to the video, like bang, 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 bang. There's a lot of interesting stuff. So 1620, so -6. So roughly, I'd say start watching it in the neighborhood of would be the 10-minute mark. Right around there, you'll see them in the front window. You'll see the fire in the side of the house, in the back of the house. You won't see it in the front window though. You'll see guys walking around. If you look real close, you could see them break the front window and be to the right of the front door, but you could hear the glass. And within 2 or 3 seconds, you see light flickering on the staircase. That's that window being broke, sucking that right to it. And within about 7 or 8 seconds, that entire staircase is off, as we say. It's off. It's burning. Out of control. So a lot of people might look at that and say, well, hey, there's got to be an No, that could just be the air from him doing that. And I don't know who the fireman was or what his maybe he thought the guy was going to be ready to flow water. I hope he just didn't do it to do it, because then the fire came out and almost burned him too. So we're already close to the hour mark here. Let me just read you all my notes and everything here real fast. And this is everything I'm going to go over and cover tomorrow. And at the times, I'm going to try to give you rough times if anybody wants to go and look. Okay, it roughly would be into the video now, roughly the 4-minute mark, when Yoder makes the 24-second drive from the house to the fire station, talks to the guy in the station. I think the guy's saying he's waiting for a crew, but I can't really tell. Okay. At roughly like 5 minutes or 4 minutes and 50 seconds was Yoder's driving back to the scene. I'm pretty sure I see another fireman coming, probably a volunteer fireman. Look at his personal vehicle. Looks like he has like a light of some sort, a volunteer light, maybe a blue light. At roughly, and I don't into this video now, I don't know the time it was in the evening or the early morning, but that would be what then? 16. That would be roughly 6:16 in the video. If I did the right math there. Yeah, 6:16 in the video. The first fire truck arrives. I hear the air brake set, and I can see the light in the house. There's a red light flashing. I'm used to see. They actually teach you that if you're inside and you're getting lost, to stop. And if you could see any kind of flashing of red light, obviously it's your rig. It's one of your rigs or your trucks. So if you go toward that, you're going toward a window, right? Or a hole in the house. So this would be roughly at the 7-minute and 7-minute 30-second mark, let's say. You could see a flashlight on the steps in that window that I want you to look at later when he punches it out. You could see them on the steps. You can actually, if you pause the video, you could tell the flashlight. And I don't know if it's attached to the air pack or not. Some places have one attached to their air pack, or when you have your air pack turned on, there's like an LED light that comes on. That's what it looks like to me. There's definitely a flashlight, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It's up here near your. You have a gauge. You have the heads-up display. I don't know if they do or not. We have them in our mask where you have lights that you see. It's out of your peripheral, and then you also have the the option that you have the gauge too. Or if you don't have the LED, you have the old school gauge. And those old gauges they have batteries out the ass now in these packs. Those old gauges were pneumatic and they glowed in the dark. And I've been in places where I couldn't see the hand in front of my face. But that gauge would glow in the dark, so I could put it against my mask and I wouldn't be able to see the numbers, but I'd see where the arrow was. And I'd know, full, 3/4, half. And then I'd get my alarm at 1/4. You get what's called a quarter bell alarm. So you get that initial, so it lets you know, hey, you're low on air. What we have now, instead of the alarms, you might ever hear them. It's like, sounds like a vibrating. That's what it is. And that lets you know that's your quarter bell. And if you do run out of air, you'll have that. It'll like wind down. Oh, my battery's running low. I've talked so much. Okay, I'm going to get out of here in a few, guys. Here a pass device at pass device at roughly say 8 minutes and probably would be like 40 seconds. You start hearing that. I hope my computer don't die. Window punch. That window punch again. Look for that around 14 minutes and start around 14 minutes. It was like 14:10 roughly, and you'll see that flash. So, and again, finally, the first water that I saw put on the fire in the video happens at about 10 minutes and about 50 seconds. So they're there for about 5 minutes, just under 5 minutes before they get water on the fire. I don't know the situation, but place like us where they're faster, we run more fires. We're a little more proficient. So no knock on anybody there, but let's do this again tomorrow. Let's do this tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Okay. I'll try to get more to your questions. I got to plug my computer in and I have to do it across the room because it's a 3-prong job. And I appreciate everybody coming in. I'm going to have this up tomorrow and have this figured out a little bit better than I did today because I had the darn wrong thing saved up. Or maybe Meow or someone could come up with me tomorrow and help me do this. Yeah, I'm gonna go to Meow's page. She has the whole on the whole thing, not the news thing, the whole video. I'll maybe share it with me, or I'll figure it out. But go watch the whole thing, and then you come back here, cue the times up, and let's talk tomorrow. Let's say 8 o'clock tomorrow, and I want to show you these pictures of these things, what I see here, and it could have just been rapid fire growth from accelerated oxygen. Air level, but all right. Well, I don't have any stories tonight. If you're going to have any good thoughts, hopefully everyone has good thoughts for everybody. I have good thoughts for my city and, the family of Officer Slugdansky. Tough time here, but I'm gonna come back tomorrow, guys, at 8 o'clock. All right. So, my email, kevlar148@hotmail.com. I'm on Facebook. Everyone knows my name. It's Kevin Kovacs. You don't have to dox me. Anyone, I'll dox myself. Hey, if you got anything good, send it to me. Let's come back tomorrow and I'll talk to some of my other friends here offline and get something good for you tomorrow because there's a lot to cover. It might even be a third episode in the making here. Thanks everybody for the comments. Yeah, I didn't see him in there, but he's talking to her. Did they call him Chuck? Or is he saying Josh? I don't know. Unless there's a Chuck that we don't know about. This is Delphi. This is Flora, right? I don't think, but yeah. So that's what I assumed that's who he was talking to in there. He wasn't on his radio. You can tell when he's on his radio because he'll say county or control or whatever they say out there. We say county or dispatch. But someone else is in there. I never actually saw them either. I saw him talking to him. I heard him talking to him and never actually saw him. That's bizarre, isn't it? Right? Yeah. Okay. Chucky. No Chucky. Okay, everybody. I think this computer is going to die. So I will talk to you all tomorrow. I'll be messaging some of you here shortly. Feel free to message me. I got stuff on Reddit too. Anything you got, good. Thank you. And just keep spreading the word. Share some stuff on your Facebook. Don't even got to be for me. Share the dash cam video. Share from another creator that's doing this. But just keep it in the news because there's momentum now. And I'm not sure why. But the train's rolling, right? Let's not stop it. Let's just push it till we get to that hill, and then down we go and run it through whoever did this shit, right? You got it. All right, everybody. Have a good Thursday evening. I will see you all tomorrow, 8 o'clock. I'll put a reminder up, everybody. So my man, Kid, check the rhyme. PM, my friend. PM, okay? Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Appreciate it. Keep Flora. Keep talking about it. Keep talking about it. Keep sharing it. All right. All right, everybody. Coach Kev out.